what is Trump's game with the Epstein files? Why would he, while he's president, get, Epstein is arrested, killed, dies, and then runs on releasing the files, does the fake sort of kangaroo release, and then now says that he was not working with any other conspirators?
There's only two possible theories, which I was not that open to this one, which was that Trump is implicated in until the more recent statements. Why are my boys and gals like paying attention to all this? You guys all need to move on. Or on camera where he's like, are you really still asking about Jeffrey Epstein? By the way, the day after he put out that Truth Social, he was tweeting about revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship.
That's funny.
So it's funny, but he's like, you guys are focused on Epstein when there's all this other stuff happening. It's like, bro, you're literally tweeting about Rosie O'Donnell's getting denaturalized as a citizen. But that's one theory, is that, look, I mean, I read you guys the quote. He likes them young. He said that in 2002. He said it. So maybe he knew something.
We're 6 months in.
Yeah.
How do you feel? What's the job that Trump
sorry. Oh, no, sorry. I need to give the second. That was the first theory, which I did not give credence to.
Yeah.
Also, Tucker made a good point. He's like, wouldn't have the Biden administration released it? I was like, well, I thought that they would have. But listen, what if they wanted to protect Bill Clinton? Or, all this other stuff.
You can't release one.
Right. You have to release it all.
Because what would the Biden administration do? They'd release one person, Trump, and then nobody else.
That wouldn't make a lot of sense.
And then we'd be like, okay.
According to Trump, they created the files.
Hunter was on them tweets?
Right. Obama created the files. Okay.
And Hillary made the files about Clinton.
The second is that it would be devastating to our relationship with Israel, or it was at a request of Israel, or it'd be devastating to our relationship if the CIA is that to be exposed. I mean, for example, everybody knows the CIA killed Kennedy. Why has the CIA fought the release of these documents for 60 years?
Because they did. That is.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I think. Okay. Again, let me be more precise in my language. I think that they were aware of and participated at least in some form in the plot that killed Kennedy. I'll put it more responsible.
Cover-up.
Not the kill, at the very least, involved in the plot, and of course in the cover-up. That's like actually not a question. So why did they do that? Because they knew that it would break the American public's irrevocable trust in the way that they conduct business, and that's why they fought for years to make sure that it didn't happen, or that to release the documents. I think it's the same here in this case. It's like, look, what we have is so bad to the CIA, to the FBI, to Mossad, to Saudi, to whomever, all these governments, and to the Israeli prime ministers and others, that it would just be so revelatory of the way that we conduct business. It would make it impossible for us to continue business as usual. And sir, business as usual is so important that we just have to release all of this stuff. And that's how the pressure comes down on Kash Patel, on Dan Bongino, on the Attorney General. And it leads to them saying, Kash literally said in 2023, the Epstein files are under the direct control of the FBI director. He became the FBI director. And now he's like, it was all a conspiracy theory. He literally said that. The conspiracy theories were never true. The conspiracy theories you invented, man. So you were either lying then or you're lying now. Bongino. I mean, I have the clips that people can play if they want to of the stuff. We can never let up on this story. We can never let go. Attorney General Pam Bondi from the White House lawn, which used to mean something. I have the client list on my desk. There are thousands of victims. There are all the files. We're ready to release them. And then, Akash, I think you said this. You were like, either it was all a lie or you exploited the of thousands of children to get elected. That's pretty fucked up. If you did. So there's no good answer here. Personally, I lean to the latter. I think it's an intelligence thing, and perhaps it has a crossover with Trump himself, which I did not believe until very recently.
When you say intelligence thing, and this seems more realistic to me, not that the intelligence has devised this blackmail scheme.
Yeah, exactly. As I laid out for the multiple hours.
But he was potentially an asset to multiple intelligence agencies.
Correct.
And they looked the other way at his sexual deviant behavior.
Started to cover it up with the non-prosecution agreement.
Exactly.
And that's the complicity. That's the smoking gun.
Yeah.
And that's why it still remains. I mean, look, even the Justice Department admitted that was a bad deal. We never should have done it.
Right.
And you know what the irony is? It's the Justice Department themselves, Main Justice, the Washington, D.C. They're the ones who told Acosta to do the non-prosecution agreement. but then they turn around and they blame Acosta. And
you need a patsy, man.
I almost feel bad for the guy, in a way, because it looks like he was just doing what he was told, and he probably wanted to continue the investigation. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he still signed it. Yeah, I agree. He was complicit and he lived with it, and he got rewarded for it. He was the labor secretary
for like a day.
For a while, 2017 to 2019.
Oh,
he reigned for over 2 years,
and then they got him.
And then he was the patsy. They were like, hey, you got to go.
Somebody's got to
go down for this, and he resigned. I think he's very rich and probably works in finance or whatever now. But my point is just that it goes up high, and unfortunately, we don't even really know how high, and what's left to be released is still just an immense amount of documentation, which, no, we don't have a right to have it, like a theoretical right, but we almost have like a promise here from the campaign, from the president, that they would release everything. They would declassify everything, and they have immediately turned their back on that.
I got to use the bathroom.
We're 6 months in. Give me your grade on Trump. The good, the bad. What's his report card grade?
Well, I'm actually not important in this. Just let's look at the issues, for things that I think he was elected on. I think he was elected on three primarily. Number one is the economy, because inflation was high. Inflation report came out today. It's actually increased 2.7% since June. A lot of that is, in my opinion, because of the incompetent way that they've rolled out the tariffs. It actually makes me really upset. I'm really pro-tariff. The idea of tariff, strategic tariffs. I think the way that this has been done has been, frankly, a disaster. The only reason that it didn't crash the economy is because he rolled them all back and said, we're going to do a 90-day pause or whatever. But creating chaos in people's lives and fucking with people's businesses is terrible. Mark and I are new parents. Do you remember the stroller problem about how over 90% of strollers and car seats come from China? Oh, yeah. Well, the Up-A-Baby stroller that everyone in New York has, that went up by hundreds of dollars as a result of the tariffs. Sorry, I think that's wrong. I think the car seats have become more expensive. It's like you were elected to make life better for people. That's a pretty material way, actually, that Trump directly impacted me and all other new parents here in the United States. So that's where something, I think, creating that chaos economically has been a problem. On the bill, the bill philosophically to me, I just think really comes away from a lot of the Trump promise. And I think I heard you talking about the bill. I mean, let's just look at the math, right? They are like, oh, well, we're going to cut spending. And it's like, well, okay, but you increase the defense budget by $150 billion, right? By the way, Doge never looked at the DOD. What happened there? Where are you, Doge? Why did we fire somebody in the National Weather Service and not someone in the Pentagon who can't pass an audit for 5 years in a row? And so, this is talk, and it was cheap, in my opinion. They increased the defense budget, and instead, they put work requirements in Medicaid and in food stamps. I'm not necessarily against work requirements per se, but really what bothered me was the way they were increasing the dollar shift to the states. This is really wonky. I apologize to everyone, but the end result is that more people could probably lose healthcare and or food stamps. Again, we can have a conversation about welfare and food stamps and all of that, but it was the priority of increasing the defense budget, of extending the tax cuts, which are pretty overwhelmingly good for the top 1%.
Help people overseas, it seems, at the expense of.
Exactly. So helping people overseas, and you got people who are at least precarious, in terms of that. So I think that the bill was a big miss, in my opinion.
On the simple promise of Make America Great Again, it seems life for most Americans is not as
I think that the fundamentals still remain the same, and that's the problem. Is I don't see a concrete way to fix that. So yesterday, a report came out from the National Association of Realtors that the average first-time home buyer in the United States is now 38 years old. It used to be 27. And look, Trump can't just wave a magic wand and fix that. To the extent that he can do anything, it's to fire the Fed chair. And I guess, let's give him credit. He's trying to do that. Yeah. But my point is just that the GOP as a whole and that bill did not seem laser focused, on those problems. So I would say, I don't think it's gone very well. Then, on immigration, I mean, look, it's controversial. I wait for Andrew. I would say of all the things that he, quote, promised to do, that's the one where he really has, I think he's delivered. The problem, in my opinion, is the way the administration decides to conduct itself is kind of like an Iraq, shock and awe approach, where you come in with these big operations. Now, I will explain the logic. The logic is because there's 30 million people here, probably, who are illegal. Deporting them all, even with billions of dollars, is probably impossible. So you want to stage these large scale things to get people to self-deport. And then about 1 million people or so, according to the administration, is left. We don't have a way of checking those numbers, which is why it's kind of difficult. But I would put it all together and I would say that the story to me is just chaos. It's like one that flips back and forth. We have Doge, which is in power. Elon's the co-president. Then he leaves, right? And now he's, talking about Epstein files and the America Party. And then we bomb Iran very shortly afterwards. We said we weren't going to do that. And then we had the tariff brouhaha, like in between. It doesn't feel as if there's like a steady hand on the wheel, chaotically, I mean. And I would apply that to immigration as well. The biggest criticism Americans have right now about the immigration policy is not even necessarily deportation. It's the chaotic way that they feel it's being handled. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Like, why were people so mad at Biden over the border? Because of the chaos at the border. Yeah. And let's give Trump credit. He did fix that. Yeah. There's 0 illegal crossings. Fine. But the point is now they look at the raids themselves and the way they're conducted and kind of like blown up by the White House as chaotic, right? And I think that when you put that together with the way that the tariff policy, the immigration policy, and even the war policy, I mean, we were negotiating with Iran and then we weren't negotiating with Iran. We berated Zelensky in the Oval Office and told him he didn't have the cards and we're giving him more weapons. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then the Epstein thing is, well, you run on it, you say you have it, now you say you don't have it. It screams like chaos and kind of incompetence. And I can see why a lot of people are moving against it. So that's like my wholesome.
What grade would you give him?
Well,
that sounds all bad.
Me personally, I mean, I would go issue by issue. So like on foreign policy, I would give an F just in terms of Ukraine and Israel. On immigration, considering what he ran on, I would probably give him like a B plus, just because on the merits, I think he actually is doing almost every single thing that he said he would do. If anything, I would say my criticism, I mean, I should be open about it. I'm very pro mass deportation, but my criticism of it is that it seems like in many cases they went more for the show as opposed to like the policy, and I think that's the problem. So that's like my personal
they said they were going to target
but a lot
criminals
of people,
and they're not.
and also the reason I will not give it an A is because a huge portion of the immigration machine was used to go after these like pro-Palestine students for speaking out against Israel. I'm like, yo, fuck that. Sorry. Okay, that's like a total, not only a free speech concern. It's like, why are you using the resources of my government to deport critics of another country? What? People who are here legally? This is the least of our problems, all right? But let's put that, to the side. So on the economy, I mean, look, this isn't me speaking. Like, people know I'm pretty out of step with like the trickle down GOP, but like, I don't know. I think the big beautiful bill was a disaster. Like not only in terms of its unpopularity, but it didn't, invest in all the things. It didn't invest in making America better, like as a country. There's no massive expansion of manufacturing tax credits. There's no like ability to compete and deal with China. It was really just kind of like a personal tax extension for the rich, more corporate tax extension for business as usual. I think business as usual is what he was elected to like go against. So for me, it's like a C. So you can average all that together. I don't know what that is.
Here's my question.
F, A plus C. Yes.